Hello, Baby Journey update. We have the whole family here today. So we're currently 33 weeks and 4 days if we're going off the 6 as our due date. And it's been a while since we've updated. I think the last video was 28 weeks. So yeah, it's over a month, and it was the day that we done our first hypnobirthing, which we've actually finished now. So Maddie, what was your takeaways or your perspective on the hypnobirthing course? What do you think of it?
Well, it wasn't put into perspective until we went and did other classes, and then I realised how good it actually was.
But we learned stuff each weekend, and we were like, oh, this makes perfect sense.
Yeah, definitely. But it was like when we started doing the other classes, it's almost like fear is bred into you as a female and even as a dad before you even get to the hospital. It's like, hey, here's all the things that could go wrong, rather than, hey, here's what we're hoping to do, which is what hypnobirthing was all about. It was like, hey, we can really have a gentle birth, and it's about making sure that your environment is cool, calm, and relaxed as possible. Like it has to be cool, calm, collective, because as soon as you start to stress out, this is what happens to your body, and that's why all of a sudden we lock up, and that's why all of a sudden you have to have a cesarean. So it was very interesting to kind of hear how it worked, and it made a lot of sense when they were kind of talking about nature in general, about how mammals of all types just they can give birth in the wild without it being a big thing. Like, yes, they might duck into like a dark, cooler space typically, but generally they try to keep themselves as cool, calm, and collective as possible. They relax into position, and they're able to give birth, and it's actually something that we as humans should be able to do too. So
there's no doctors present.
No, the hard thing is that going to a hospital is obviously a bit of a stressful thing. Like, we almost think of a hospital as a place that we go to when we're sick or when there's something wrong with us. Whereas there's nothing wrong with you. You're pregnant. Like,
yeah, it's
you're
not a disability.
It's not, yeah, exactly.
It's an absolute miracle blessing.
And so the big thing about going to hospital, I think, is keeping yourself calm when you get there.
Yeah, so one of my friends who did work with our doula and gave birth probably 4 or 5 weeks ago now, she was telling me that the doula, Trish, that we're using, actually encouraged her to use an eye mask and have her earphones plugged in when moving from home to the hospital to be able to stay in that calm mind and calm state. And she found that really beneficial. And I think that works if you're somebody who trusts your partner to guide you once you get there, which I'm very comfortable doing.
I'm not going to run you into walls.
Yeah, and just kind of practicing that now, you know, like making sure that you are listening. If you're doing hypnobirthing, you are listening to your affirmations and your meditations every day, and using an eye mask so that it's not a completely foreign thing, and allowing yourself to be calm in those situations. But yeah, the other courses that Maddie was talking about are
Sorry,
stimulating my nipple. Yeah, oxytocin release to get that colostrum happening. But yeah, so the other courses that we did were through our private midwives. So we went and did the antenatal course, which was like a full day course on Saturday just gone. And it was really good. There was a few things that we took away from it, but there was a lot of stuff that we had to tune out because negative birth stories, things that hypnobirthing discourages you from thinking about, types of words or language that we should try not to use or replace. So every time they use the word contraction, we in our minds were thinking surge, because that's a much more positive way of talking about labour and birth. And then the other course we did was the newborn care on Tuesday night just gone, and that was kind of fun. We got given little dolls, and Maddie got to put the nappy on and dress the baby. A few little tips there. I mean, you think like
swaddling.
Yeah, and swaddling. You think it would just be common sense, like, you know, you figure it out as you go, but there were a few little tips and tricks that she gave us that were really helpful.
But everyone was like, oh my God, wow, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, and then even like bathing the baby and all that sort of stuff. So definitely some things that we picked up there, but we had to go in kind of almost blocking certain things as well from, you know, not taking on the negative stuff or being aware of it, but just knowing that if we keep visualizing the positive stuff, that's what's more likely to happen. So that's kind of our education stuff.
Yeah, I'd say the two most beneficial courses we did was the hypnobirthing and the ABA, Australian Breastfeeding Association course.
Yeah, so that was a half-day course. They've got them all over Australia. So if you go to their website and just look up the one that's closest to you, you end up paying for the membership with ABA, which is like $80, and then the course is $20 for you, and your companion or partner gets to come for free, which is very beneficial because from other friends that have gone through this and already have their babies, when they were waking up at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, struggling to feed their bubs, dad was around or partner was around to offer the insights that you don't think of because you're just trying to get your baby fed. And yeah, so there's like little things that, you know, Maddie's probably likely to remember that I'll forget about, that he'll be able to help me with when I get stuck. So we highly recommend that course. That was really, really good. A lot of stuff is based on like research and practical stuff that people are seeing, and did actually contradict some of the stuff that we heard in the course that we did. And it can really depend on the midwife that's teaching the course, or the childbirth educator that's teaching the course. You know, like things like bed sharing. ABA say, you know, they don't say go for it, but they're like, there's really good benefits to doing that, whereas some people might not feel comfortable with it, but it's becoming more obvious that that is actually a good way to sleep, co-sleep.
With, at least. Yeah.
You know, you can have the bassinet next to the bed, but baby wants to be as close to mum and dad as possible. Like, they don't want to feel like they're on their own. They don't like being cold. So there's a lot of things that we took on board. So definitely recommend hypnobirthing. You can do it online. We know some people that are doing it online, but we really enjoyed doing the face-to-face because I think that just that interaction and that continued connection with that rapport that we're building with our doula is really important. And also seeing how other couples are going and like connecting with like-minded people. And then the ABA. The other stuff, we just did it because it was part of our private midwife package, but I wouldn't, from what I've heard, go and do a free one at a hospital because it's going to be very, very fear-driven. So, I mean, just keep that in mind. If you do go and do it, take it with a grain of salt and then go do your own education as well. What other stuff has been going on? Aside from courses that we've been doing, it's been 5 weeks.
We went to a wedding and Stace was upright for a long time, like out of action. We sat in the car a lot on the drive down to the wedding, then she was upright for a lot of the wedding.
Because you can't really get on all fours or lay down.
No,
at a
and
wedding.
so that led her into actually having back spasms. We weren't sure if she was having a mini labour or something, or
Practice labour.
yeah, we weren't really sure what was going on. So that was something, and ended up just being back spasms from being in awkward positions for too long.
Yeah, I was experiencing Braxton Hicks, which wasn't painful. It was just that tensing, and it all felt quite tight. We've since found out this week that there is a little bit of extra fluid in there. So that might be why it's feeling a little bit tighter and I'm experiencing that. But then, yeah, to get the spasms on top of that. And I was experiencing like nausea, intense nausea to the point of I thought I was going to vomit from the pain, which is not normal. And then also like felt like I was going to pass out or black out. So we left, obviously, and came home and used a hot water bottle and dogs come into play again. And it did pass. We were ready to jump in the car and go to the hospital if needed, but it did pass and managed to go to sleep. If it had been actual labour, wouldn't have been able to do that. So we knew it wasn't like anything too crazy, but then it did come back briefly Friday morning and then again Friday lunchtime when we were celebrating with the people from the wedding again for like the after party catch up brunch lunch thing. And that's when I called the midwife and she's like, it just sounds like muscle spasms. Nothing to be alarmed by. So yeah, I guess it was just one of those things, as Maddie said, just being, you know, you think you're going to be all right. You want to go and enjoy this celebration with everybody. And maybe I didn't set myself up for success with napping or whatever. I could have done a bit more, but we did rest before we went. So yeah, I think it's just standing, fatiguing. I was in flat shoes. I'm all about function rather than fashion. So I made sure that I was comfortable, but it just wasn't enough. And then I think my body just got tired. It was 9 o'clock at night. I guess that's the time I'm usually in bed.
Yeah, but you also usually lazed around for a bit before that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just something to keep in mind. Some people might struggle in those later months with doing those social things. We've got Maddie's early 30th. This weekend, so I'll do some things a little bit differently to set myself up for success this weekend, but it won't be as long a day. Yeah.
Cool. I've got to go because I've got to get this podcast stuff
okay,
ready.
bye.
But you can enjoy talking about the rest of the stuff.
See ya.
See ya.
So, I guess the other stuff that I want to share at this point is it's kind of the home stretch. 33 plus 4 means that we could meet baby Earthside anywhere from like 4 weeks to 8 weeks. So, or 4 weeks to 9 weeks essentially. Like 37 to 42 is the happy time where baby can arrive. I've been getting a lot more action, like lots of kicking, lots of movement, feeling like limbs and things sticking out, and making it a priority to do my breathing, to do my affirmations, to do my meditations, because I think people want to have a calm and natural, gentle birth, and they're like, I want to go drug-free, but they don't do any prep. It's like, for those of you that know that I've been in the CrossFit world for 10 years, it's like trying to go to the CrossFit Games and not having done any training. So this is something I've never done before. So even though I don't know exactly how it's going to go, preparing for the unknown and unknowable, at least I can do things to help set me up for success in terms of practicing things that we know will assist in the moment when the time comes. So if you are somebody who is seeking a drug-free, intervention-free birth, then I highly encourage you to educate yourself rather than just hoping that it's all going to work out, because it can happen for some people, but it's not the norm. So I think I've said that on a previous video before, and I really reinforce it. The books that I'm loving at the moment, especially if you're looking for intervention-free births, this is one my doula lent me. So A Modern Woman's Guide to a Natural Empowering Birth. That's really awesome. How to Have Well-Adjusted Babies. This is one that is really, really helpful, especially if you want to learn more about vaccines, more about nutrition. This is really comprehensive and lots of stuff based on science in there. And then this is one that actually got gifted to us even before we conceived from some friends in Spain. And Maddie's actually going to be interviewing one of the doctors later this month, so that would be good for our podcast to definitely check that out. But there's a lot of stuff that's really helpful in here, and it's like, just really giving you the honest truth, unbiased honest truth, rather than the stuff that you're going to hear because the government is almost like tying the hands of the midwives and the doctors that are here in Australia, or wherever you are in the world. There's like regulations and things that they have to say for insurance reasons, even if it's not their true values and beliefs. Whereas us as empowered women, mothers, families, individuals, we can make those choices. These things aren't compulsory here in Australia. Things like vitamin K, hepatitis B at birth, things like the flu shot and whooping cough shots for pregnant mums. As you've seen in one of my previous videos, like not having to do the glucose tolerance test and testing using finger prick instead for a couple of weeks. So there's always an alternative. And if you question the reasons why they're encouraging you to do that, or you do your own research, you feel empowered to make better decisions for your kids moving forward. I'm going to finish up there because otherwise this video is going to be really long. But I guess I just wanted to draw people's attention to, if you are earlier on in the journey or even in your conception phase, like preconception phase, it's worth looking into this stuff early. It has been fine for me to do it whilst I've been pregnant, but there's a lot more emotion involved, and the hormones kind of play tricks on you. And, even though we think we're with a very holistic practitioner, it still feels like they're pushing the mainstream conventional, let's just do the needles because that's what we're told to do. And I encourage people to question that. If it feels right for you, do it. If you've looked into the ingredients and you're happy with it, do it. But from what I'm seeing in the stuff that I'm reading and the videos that I'm watching and the support networks that I'm connecting with, there's a lot of evidence to show that it's an area that people should definitely educate themselves about more, because you wouldn't, some people might, but we wouldn't eat something if we don't know what ingredients are in it. Same thing with sticking a needle with a vaccine in my body. Like, if I don't know what's in it and I don't know what every single one of those things do and I don't know their side effects, I'm probably not going to do it. Like, I don't even take painkillers. So it just doesn't make sense to me. But everyone's different and everyone's on a different path. So not telling you that you have to do what I'm doing. I'm just sharing my experience and what our thoughts are, and obviously it's a massive topic, and not something that I feel the need to discuss with anyone, because I'm making my decisions based on my education, and you guys can do the same for yourselves. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. That is the 33-week plus some update, and speak to you again soon.